into that game in just a second here, so we'll talk about that once we go into game number 1, and that is starting right now. We don't want to keep you guys waiting, and we are in. So first thing to note, we did make a couple of changes. We took some feedback from you guys, and we've changed the overlay slightly, so it hopefully is a little bit easier to see and to read in the chat. But we're here with game 1 between SY and VNA for the Europe East 4v4 first semi-final. It is a best of 5. And I am so excited for today's games because last week's games were incredible. And joining me today to cast these games will be T90. Hey man, how's it going?
It is going good, man. I'm excited as well. I was just saying to Zach yesterday how pumped I was for this set. The quarters were all 2-1s. There were no sweeps. And so that means for the semis and the finals, we have some good games coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it was that close before, I'm questioning, is it going to be that close again? I can't wait to find out. And find out we will as we go into Baltic for the first game today. And we were just saying before this game started, Baltic in 1v1 is a completely different beast to Baltic in 4v4. Let's start by introducing the teams. We have SY on the west side of the map. If you split the map north to south, SY are on the left with Mr. Yo in the team on the flank. He's taken the Italians. To the left of him in the pocket, you've got Lix in the grey, playing as the Malay. The second pocket, Schweinu, playing in the blue as the Vikings. And on the north flank in the green, Fengjin, playing as the Portuguese.
All right, and then for VNA, right next to Feng Jing, we have VNS Cool, who is the flank for Vietnam Legends. He's playing as the Italians. His pocket is backed, also known as Badriofro, but I think we're sticking with backed nowadays. He's playing as the Vikings. In the yellow, then, we have Say My Name. Say My Name is playing as the Japanese. And then in the purple, on the opposite flank, we have ACCM playing as the Portuguese. So similar Civ selection here, Zach.
Yeah, as far as civilizations go, the big difference here is that we've got Lix playing as the Malay, and then we have Say My Name playing as the Japanese. Now, how do you feel about that? Because the other 3 civs are the same, but when you think about it, okay, you're trading the Malay for the Japanese. To me, I think I'd prefer the Malay, to be honest.
I guess we'll have to see how they utilize the civs. One thing that stands out is the Japanese have that fishing ship armor, right? So potentially, Say My Name, instead of going for an aggressive feudal, he'll try and get away with more of a fish boom and do something with that. That's the only thought that really comes to mind.
Yeah. Well, he is in the pocket position, so that could be an option. But, you know, something I was talking about recently, I don't know if it was on an Escape stream, but I made the observation that with the introduction of the fire galley, the Japanese bonus has kind of been nerfed a little bit inadvertently because it's pierce armor, right? And the HP obviously is doubled for the Japanese ships. But the armor makes no difference to fire galleys. They're going to chew straight through it anyway.
Yeah, I think that you're definitely right on that. I have seen how Japanese play out, and at least in 1v1s, it's a huge bonus. So possibly, as the scouts are fighting in the south here, Zach, I don't know if you realize this. This is the second scout engagement that's going to be big to focus on. Yo is going to arrive for his team, which means Say My Name needs to lead this.
Ooh, and good reaction as well. He does pull out just at the right time, and you've got more HP coming in on ACCM scout there, so it's a pretty close trade between the scouts here, neither team getting a kill, and I think they're basically on the same amount of health. They are.
Yeah, this is incredible. Wait, a scout finally goes down. Lix's scout is on 3 HP, Zach. Yo's is on 6, and the scout for Say My Name is on 6 as well, so that was funny to watch there. But just back to what I was mentioning for a moment, I do feel like that will try and be utilized. And if Say My Name does go for an aggressive boom with Fish, that will put more pressure on his flank, and that will put more pressure on the opposite pocket who is backed. This little strait here in the south of the lake is a bit weird. Players will run out of fish in that location, and Yo has nowhere to run with his fish for SY if he ends up losing water. So that will be something to focus on as well.
Yeah, he's kind of cornered himself here on this lake. It's interesting because ACCM has built his dock a bit closer to the inlet to the main lake, and Mr.
Yep.
Yo's either going to have to go past him, or you never know, ACCM could get sandwiched between the two. But these kind of inlets can be quite interesting and quite sort of important in the game because it gives you a lot of reach over the land. And if you look at Mr. Yo's wood line, should VNA win the water here, they've got a lot of reach. They can range that wood line quite easily. And the same could be said about the berries of ACCM on the flank. So this south side looking really interesting to me as players here starting to go up to the feudal age right now. And I think in the north, Cool's dock being delayed a little by Shrinu's scout there.
Yeah, that's big. That's why the scout HP is so important, to see if anyone will potentially go on land, but also just to delay villagers from building new docks, which is so important to get the fires out. Feudal Age comes in, Zach, and there will be fire galleys on both flanks.
Yeah, and it's interesting how the metagame sort of changes in team game from 1v1. I mean, in a 1v1, you're pretty much doing fire galleys opening every single time. But it might be interesting to see the pockets if they consider going for some galleys. And you can see backed here, as the Vikings obviously doesn't have access to fire galleys. So galleys will be produced for him. And for the other Viking player, obviously the same. But will another player make galleys as well? Or will the other three make fires? That's what I'm interested in finding out as the stream ends here, as we have an issue, I think, with the game room.
Yeah, it's possible.
Okay, so we will resume this in just a moment. We're going to back out real quick, and we can pick up from where we left off in a moment here.
That's fine.
Let's just figure out what's going wrong. We could have been a potential drop or something like this, which came into the game.
It's actually perfect. Right when Feudal Age comes in, you know, the action's about to start, viewers are getting hyped, and sorry guys, you're gonna have to wait a few minutes.
Yeah, no climax for you. Just gonna have to wait it out and wait for the next time. But I think there was an issue with the game room, so we're gonna fix that real quick and we can resume. People are shouting overlay at me. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean, but I think Robo will fix the problem. And we'll resume in just a moment here. But yeah, I was saying about the differences in the civs, but also the opportunity to have maybe two players going for fire galleys and two players going for regular galleys. I think it's perfectly reasonable for the pocket players to make regular galleys, because once you get up to a decent number, they are actually pretty good versus the fire galley when there's a good mix going on.
Yeah, I think, and we're about to get back into the game here, I think that it is risky to start off with two people going galleys. However, certainly when you get that mass, it can be incredibly strong. And are we starting this from the beginning then?
Wait, we're going to wait. I'm not in the game yet. I think Robo is going to basically skip forward to the part where we need to be.
Okay.
So we're just waiting for that to happen now, and then we'll actually get in. If you look at the host time, you can see it's getting ahead. It should be getting ahead. We should be able to fast forward, although I'm unsure.
I don't know if it can be fast forwarded when there's spectators. So it's possible we either start from the beginning or we just discuss the possibilities until we get to the point we were at.
Yeah, I think for the sake of lack of confusion, we basically just talk about the possibilities and then we resume from where we left off. I don't know the exact time, but it was just after we hit feudal, so we can basically delay until then, I think.
Yeah, that's fine. So, yeah, back to your point. It's really important that these teams have a Viking pocket, because it'd be so awkward to have Vikings on the flank with no access to fire galleys.
Yeah, of course. And I think both teams did get the Viking player in the pocket, so that's pretty fortunate for them. Did. I think that's quite important, especially because the distance between the docks of the pocket and the flank is going to be quite extreme, actually. If we think about that southern inlet that we talked about,
yes.
The flanks there are going to be docking a lot further away from the pocket docks. So if one of those players were potentially the Vikings, you're going to have a big issue if the other player is not, and you lose the water quite early on because of the fire galley.
Yeah. The other interesting point is, it's Portuguese versus Italians on both the flanks as well. So Japanese and Malay are the only differentiators, and they are also the other pockets. So flanks could play out similarly, at least on water. I think they would anyhow. But later on in 4v4 Baltic, you can see land aggression. So that'd be fun to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we saw Mr. Yo walling in the south, didn't we? They did get the kill onto VNA's scouts in the south, which allowed Mr. Yo to complete his wall. Now, you know, walls on Baltic, it's a bit of peace of mind, but it certainly doesn't mean that you are safe. Like, if you lose the water, there's so much more space to make a landing because the map is so much larger in a 4v4 relative to a 1v1.
For sure. And we saw that, oh shoot, what was the matchup? Was it SY versus Suomi? It was game 1 on Baltic, right? Last week? I think it was SY versus Suomi.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. And at one point, Suomi lost the water. So the team that loses the water normally then feels pressured to go on land. Yeah. That's what Finland went for last time around. And of course, it didn't work out. But there's a lot of potential because at some point, the water doesn't mean as much.
Yeah, well, I'll be very interested to see how teams play that on the land, whether they'll do some kind of sling strat. Obviously, with the Vikings in the game, once they've helped you to win the water, they can very easily turn into a bit of a sling as well, since you could sling out to the stronger land civs to do a more sort of beefy land push, let's say.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. We're close to getting back where we were.
Yep.
So game 1 of best of 5 is really important for both teams to start off on the right foot. Speaking of starting off on the right foot, last time around, SY got their win, as I said, in the first game, which was Baltic. I believe Vietnam Legends lost, correct? Their first game last time around, and they ended up winning the best of 3. So
yes. Putting your best foot forward, absolutely important here. But guys, just to give you information about what is happening, we are going to be resuming Baltic in just a moment. We had a technical issue with the game lobby, and the game had to be restarted, and we will resume from where we left off in about less than a minute's time. So we'll basically be starting the game at the beginning of the feudal age from where we left off, and we will be absolutely fine here. But yes, it seems like we had a few technical issues that we weren't aware about, so we're just seeing what's with that at the moment.
Yeah, we're getting close to that point, and when we return, both teams will be in feudal age, and it kind of dropped off right before the action. So
okay, so let's we can jump straight in right now.
Yep, that works.
All right, perfect. Give me a sec, and we can jump in. There we go. All right, so we're back in where we pretty much left off. We're just watching Mr. VNS Cool build his dock in the north and get harassed a little bit by the blue scout there. Now, obviously, delaying the dock is quite an important aspect of the game, and we were saying before about how the scout wars in the early game can really determine how much harassment teams can do. If they can delay the docks, it can give them a really big early advantage on the water. But Cool will get his dock up and hit the feudal age, and we saw that the pockets, both Viking players were making galleys. I think every other player was going straight into fires.
Yep. So the Viking players, it'll take some time to get into the game. They need to mass the galleys, then they need to go for fletching for it to be really effective. On the northern flanks, though, we have Cool starting off with fires, and we have Feng Xing. They're queuing them up now. And then in the south, in this inlet, as you said, Zach, it is Mr. Yo for SY versus ACCM for Vietnam Legends, and they're so close together. I think this will be the real important area to focus on. I mean, SY, if they want trade at some point in the game, will need a corner, and that southern corner might be the only option. So if they lose water there, that's no bueno. Yeah,
and an observation about this as well is that actually both ACCM and Yo only made 3 fish because they both recognize just how important it's going to be to get a strong start on the water here and get the third dock up a little bit faster. You can see both players now with 2 fire galleys going at it. It's hard to say who's ahead in this fight, but it looks like Mr. Yo is going to bring the villager over to repair, and ACCM is immediately going to back away because he knows he'll he'll lose that fight if that villager stays in the picture for too long. But immediately coming in now, we've got Say My Name and Lix as well. Both of the pocket players coming to aid the flanks, recognizing how important this area of the map is going to be.
Joe just landed a huge demo on the fires from ACCM. ACCM lost a fire galley, and he has one on low HP, and this might turn this fight into SY's favor.
Oh, it will. I think it will. You've got a lot more fire galleys out for Yo than ACCM. I missed that demo. I was just quickly looking up at the north side.
Yeah.
But yeah, the demo coming out for ACCM now, hoping to equalize something. He'll hit 2. That's not too bad at all. And Say My Name now really going to have to try and help out as much as possible. And of course, we were saying the reinforced distance between the pockets and the flanks is huge. Let's see if Say My Name can catch out Lix as he tries to back out of this inlet here.
Yeah, honestly, I don't see Fish surviving very long in the south just because of how close people are to each other. In the north, however, teams can micro a little bit more. They have a little bit more freedom, and it's already beginning, Zach, with the Vikings pockets and the Italian and Portuguese flanks.
Yeah, now I think it's worth pointing out that, you know, Vikings in 1v1 on water are absolutely outclassed now by civs like the Italians, by civs like the Malay, because of the fire galley. But in a team game, the cheaper dock team bonus is so valuable, even when you're making galleys that are a little bit inferior in early feudal. Once fletching comes in, once you take into account that cheaper dock bonus, those galleys and the Vikings in the game certainly have a good place. And we're going to see backed with fletching here in just a second. It's a bit later than Schweinu. I'd say Schweinu's looking pretty solid at the moment compared to backed. A little villager lead and a little bit of a military lead as well for the blue player over the orange.
All the SY players have a positive kill death ratio. Every single one. That of course can change with the demo or two, but in the north, SY seems to be microing better, and in the south, they've already killed ACCM's Fish. So this is a great start for SY in game 1.
Yeah, look at Lix as well. I mean, he's got 13 military out right now, and Say My Name with 12, but he's already switched into galleys, so it's going to be a lot more fire galleys on the field here for the SY team, but the demos from ACCM unable to do too much damage. However, there's more demos coming from Say My Name, and that's enough to push Lix back, and I think that's the powerful well, the strength of the demo raft, actually. If you're going for galleys, mixing a couple of demos in, it does kind of put the fire galley player on the edge of their seat a little bit. It does make them a little bit twitchy.
Yeah, they don't want to close in too much, and we'll see that in the north now. Here comes VNS Cool, 2 demos. And that's about as good as it'll get, I think, with this many galleys out.
Yeah, but Cool is struggling right now. Look at Cool's military count, T90. He's down to 2. That is no good. No bueno, indeed. And VNA immediately on this north side, gonna be losing fish, gonna be losing water. And in fact, if you look at the fish count as well, it's a good indicator of who is leading on the water right now. And as far as I can tell, SY have only lost 1 fishing ship. In fact, they haven't even lost a single fishing ship because Mr. Yo only made 3. Meanwhile, VNA are down about 8 fish right now.
Yeah, this is putting a lot of pressure on the pocket players. In the orange, we have backed for Vietnam Legends, and then in the yellow, we have Say My Name. Those two really need to step it up now. Backed is doing a decent job in the north, but I don't think he has enough on his own to really win that side.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's going to be tough, however way you look at it. I mean, he's going to have the reinforcement of Cool, but they did lose a lot of military up in that north area, and of course the momentum swing from that is going to be pretty substantial. First player up to castle, by the way, will be Lix right now, the grey player. He is all set for the Castle Age and the continuation of Fire Galley production. Looks like he'll be going straight into that as soon as he gets up.
Yeah, I just wonder if at this point, if you're Vietnam Legends, you start thinking about some land aggression, because it's obvious they're behind. In the south, they're behind. In the north, they're at best 50-50. So I think this will snowball into SY's favor on water. And maybe if you're Vietnam Legends, Zach, you start thinking about some land options.
Yeah, definitely agree here. It's interesting. I mean, if you look at the flanks, they have walled up. In fact, both sides are walled with stone. And, well, with the exception of Feng Jin, who's just done a house wall here. that's going to make the land aggression a little harder, and maybe they have a window of opportunity to do some kind of transport, maybe sneak some villas into the middle, but I think that's way too risky. And for now, I think they're happy to try and fight for the water here. It's not lost yet, but if things start to snowball, like you say, like they're going to have to very quickly transition into some land aggression.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because two of the SY players have reached Castle H first. Lix has played amazing this game from pocket, and he already has War Galley completed. So his fire galleys go to fire ships, and he's at the moment going towards ACCM on the flank, which is a bit surprising. I thought that he would go towards the pocket, but regardless, Zach, he and Yo are now in Castle H with upgrades, so this will be tough for Vietnam.
And he's staying on 1 TC for now. It's actually, sorry, he's adding a second TC, but he's done good for careening nice and early as well for the extra armor on those fires, especially since Say My Name is starting to switch into galleys. And I think this is where we have a little bit of a difference in the two strategies. You've got VNA going for 2 players onto the War Galley, while 2 make fires, and for SY, you've got 3 players working on fires, if I'm not mistaken, and then only 1 player going for War Galley here.
Yeah, and I think the fires have really shown their strength in this game so far. Oh man, Say My Name, he tried to close in on Shinu's docks a moment ago to pick off fish. He didn't catch any fish, and he didn't catch any fish. He didn't catch out any fishing ships, and he lost about 5 or 6 War Galleys, so that was not ideal for him.
No, not at all. They had to back up, but he has got the help of Bact right behind him. Bact's now just finishing off ballistics nice and quick to give those War Galleys that extra accuracy. And Say My Name as well, with quite a lot of War Galleys out now, making a sort of fortification there in the center. But meanwhile, in the north side, this has opened up the opportunity while Bact is away from home for Feng Jin and Shuainu to come forward and pressure the docks of Bact now. Now, if you're in the position of SY, do you think, okay, now is a great time to go for the docks, cripple the production, and win the water once and for all?
Well, yes, I just wonder how much they know. I don't think they know how good this is going to be. One thing we didn't have time to talk about, look at how little space Bact has on his map. So not only could he lose the docks, but he could lose everything in his economy. But that fight from Bact was huge.
Yeah, I was saying because as you can see there, Feng Jin and who was it? It was green and blue. Shuainu way too deep, getting caught out now. Shuainu is going to come in from the back with some War Galleys. I think every single player, with the exception of ACCM, is now in this fight. And it's going to be a tough one. I don't know if ACCM and, VNA are going to come out on top here. I think they're going to have to fall back.
Careening is probably huge here, right?
Oh, yeah.
The fires are providing such a huge meat shield for Shuainu. And Shuainu is cleaning up now. The start of the engagement wasn't very good for SY, but they figured out where they needed to be. And this is not looking good for Say My Name and for Bact, who again could lose all of his villagers if he loses his docks.
Yeah, those wood lines, it's just too close to the water here. And if you look at Cool, by the way, in the north, he's losing his docks already to Feng Jin's fires. And I gotta say, those fire ships, absolute tanks in this game. And that's what's allowing Shuainu to mass up those War Galleys and do the damage from the back lines. He's at 30 military right now. He's got 53 kills and 37 deaths. And meanwhile, Feng Jin, a reasonable number of kills, not as many deaths, but really acting as the tank in these engagements. And VNA now losing the water, losing their docks. How are they going to pull this back? Are they going to pull this back as Mr. Yo goes up to the Imperial Age on the flank and sends a transport in the south with villagers?
Yeah, I mean, you have full water control as a team. That means you can transport. There's no way that your opponent can stop that. And Mr. Yo is Italians. He's getting his infantry upgrades. Right when he hits the Imperial Age, we will see condo spam.
Oh yeah, and I don't know if ACCM is at all remotely ready for this. The best way here to deal with this condo spam is get a castle up in your eco. Make sure you've got places for your villagers to hop in and keep themselves safe, but he's pretty far from being able to afford a castle, and I don't think he's going to be ready for this condo spam at all. And are you kidding me? VNA, they're giving it up right there. They're not even playing on T90. They are not even playing on.
I don't think they would have had much of a chance, in all honesty. ACCM's at 52 population, Yo would have completely overrun him. Backed would have lost water, right? And
Hmm.
his map is not suitable for that situation. So it's a relatively quick game one. And so far, SY has shown just how strong they can be on water, man, because they performed just as good versus Finland in
Yeah.
the quarterfinal.
Absolutely, absolutely. They are super strong, and I mean, look at this: 29 minutes, and you've got Mr. Yode spamming out those condos already. The first one already on the field. Meanwhile, ACCM is still in the castle age, just doing wheelbarrow. It really sets the scene as to how far apart they were in that regard, and you can see as well, Misty only with 2 TCs, really focused and thinking about what his strat is going to be. He went into that with a very clear strategy in mind. And ACCM would have died to the condos. He didn't even know they were coming at this point when the GG was called, because they'd already lost water and the game had snowballed out of control very quickly.
Yeah, the KD was positive for all the SY players 2 minutes into feudal age. So the engagement was better for Yo in the south. The engagements were better for the SY players in the north. It was just better micro, and I think also better composition, Zach. The war galley, the 2 war galley pockets didn't work out as well as having one person with war galley and one person with fires.
Yeah, the fires with the careening, it was just so useful in those engagements. And I think that's something that is yet to be maybe completely figured out at a high level. What does make the best combo exactly? And it's interesting as well, they used Malay there, and we had the Japanese on the other team. And, well, the team with the Malay did end up winning. I don't know how much of that was due to the Japanese versus the Malay, but you can clearly see a difference between the Japanese player on 53 vills and the Malay on 70 at the end of that game. I think Lix was transitioning into some kind of land aggression as well there.
Yeah, I think that sums it up, man. Great first game for SY.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we won't look at the statistics because we're running a little bit behind on that one. We will go straight into Scandinavia next, and we only have one true water map in each of the map pools, and that was it. That's Baltic. Scandinavia coming next will be one of the hybrids, and I gotta say, Scandinavia and Cross, two of the most popular maps in the Escape Champions League so far for Europe East. Those hybrid maps really interesting for the teams and for the spectators as well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I've loved them, dude. I've loved them. A year ago, if you would have said, let's cast a pro Scandinavia match, I would have said no.
You what, mate?
No, thank you.
You what?
But the game's been fantastic. I think it is in part due to the balance. It's more balanced than your standard Scandi, but obviously, I guess we'll get to see what the players give us. All the games have been good, regardless of 1v1 or team game.
Oh yeah, for sure. So we're gonna try Skype, guys, just to see if it improves the sound quality a little bit.
Yep.
Just forewarning, I have the new Skype, so we're gonna get the new rave Skype ringtone, which is exciting. Maybe let it ring for a second so we can all appreciate and get hyped for the next one. I'll give you a call now, okay?
All right, cool.
Okay.
Hello.
Oh my goodness. Hello. You're very loud. Let me.
Oh.
Oh God. You're so loud. Okay. Well, this does probably seem good. But just you fix your mic a little, and we'll fix it.
I'm trying not to talk too loud. Is this okay?
You sound loads better, by the way. So
do I? Okay.
Yeah, this is a good start. This is a good sign. We just got to fix the level a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, for those that might not know me, this is kind of frustrating, but it's unavoidable. It happens when we're casting games like this across the ocean. So I don't know. Yes. It's just a bit confusing. We'll have to look into it at some point. But
I would just say for you, just turn your mic down a little bit so it doesn't peak, and then it will be better. I've got you turned down a little on my side, but I can hear a little bit of noise in the background. So if you just reduce your volume slightly, should be good.
Okay.
Bit more.
I can sit further back from my mic, or I could go through the Skype settings as well.
Can you not adjust your mic? Do you have a?
Yeah, but the volume's already pretty low. So.
Oh, okay. Well, Yeah, maybe just adjust slightly on
Okay.
Skype, and then we should be good. It definitely sounds like a better quality mic, though, so this is good.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I figured Skype might have better audio.
Man,
I'll be honest, I don't use Skype all that frequently.
yeah.
So I'm not sure where I'm going to make this adjustment.
It's all
Yeah,
changed.
Okay. I mean, are you able to adjust it on your end by chance?
Well, it's more of a thing with your mic, right? Because if your mic peaks, then if I have you lower, it's still going to peak on my end.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't see. I feel like a huge noob right now. I don't see where I can adjust the audio like levels on
Okay.
Skype.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much. You sound a lot better than before.
Okay.
And
I just
I
we'll,
can
we'll
adjust
try
you.
and yeah, I won't yell. How's that?
Yeah, sounds good to me. All right. Guys, we're going to get our next game going in just a second here. I'm just going to make sure that the levels are good. Maybe I'll go up a little bit, although a lot of people were saying T90's louder than Zach, just the way we like it. And
Ouch.
I know, right? It hurts. I have feelings too. Okay, well, I think we're ready to go. I see no reason not to go into Scandinavia right now, and we get game 2 underway.
All right, man. Yeah, I'm really interested to see the civs and the positions. Just like in the previous match, it's very important. I just got a message from a top player. I'm not going to spoil who it was. He said, even with mic issues, I still love you. So I think we're good.
Okay, good stuff.
I'm still loved, man.
I didn't get such a message, so feels bad, man.
Oh, get the Fs in the chat for Zach.
T90F. All right, Scandinavia, guys, coming up next. SY versus VNA, game number 2 as we go into Scandinavia. SY with a 1-0 lead, a very, very dominant performance there on Baltic. It was a fast game, but Tristan, with Scandinavia, it's going to be a completely different approach from these guys. You said you're going to be interested in seeing what the civs are looking like. So let's take a look at that right now. We'll start with SY. Once again, it's Mr. Yo on the south flank. He's playing in the teal, and he's playing as the Mongols. In the pocket, Schweinyu playing in the blue as the Malians. The second pocket in the grey, Lix playing as the Celts. And then to the north in the green, it's Fengjin playing as the Turks on the flank.
Oh my God, there's so much going through my mind, so much to talk about here. On that side for Vietnam Legends, we have ACCM. He's playing as the Malians. His pocket is back-to-back, is playing as the Mongols. The other pocket is VNA School. VNA School is playing as the Turks. And then in the yellow, we have Say My Name. Just thinking about civ positions, Zach, for both teams, they have awkward civ positions and they have fantastic civ positions. Starting with Vietnam, for example, the Indians' flank can always be awkward to have Indians as flank because it's more difficult to get to their strong camels. But if you look at the Turks' flank, Turks, it's probably their ideal position, and Mongols, that is probably their ideal position in the pocket with backed.
Yeah, I think they're going to be happy with this, I think. I certainly think that this is a reasonable situation for them. With ACCM Malian flank, that's always strong. And then the Indians on the flank, they have a really good scout rush. And when you consider that there's 3 boar and a lot of additional deer on this map, we could see something along those lines, because this isn't regular Scandinavia. This is the ECL Scandinavia. Smaller wood lines, less hills, makes the map a little bit more open to early aggression and raiding.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's impossible for us to talk about what can happen here because there's so many different things, and now we have the water element, right? The other thing I should bring up is that he could dock Vietnam's side. Yes. Vietnam will most likely be fishing on the side. At least 3 of them will. So Yo, as he sends a villager down already in the south and just saves him from the wolf.
Oh, it's close.
He's Mongols, Zach, so he might go for a fast feudal strategy and go full water so he can kill the Vietnamese player's fish. And we might see the same from ACCM in the north. ACCM might try and kill SY's fish. However, he is not Mongol, so he might not be able to advance as fast as Mr. Yo.
Yeah, that's true. Mr. Yo should get the edge there in terms of that feudal up. But then again, the question is, if he did do some kind of full water, can he keep himself safe at home on the land? Because the Indians can also be a pretty big threat quite quickly as well, like we said, due to their fast feudal and scouts also. So we'll see how that develops in the south. We will see ACCM going up in the north, but he loses a villager, T90. I don't know if that was Feng Jin's scout or the wolf. Why not both? But the villager is dead in the snow, and the T90 Wu strikes again.
I think on the scorecard, the wolf will get the assist for that one.
Yeah, I think actually it did get the kill because Feng Jin doesn't have a kill to his name. So
yes, of course, the fancy overlay. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And both players encountered a wolf as well. Yo was just waiting to protect his villagers. That's awful for Vietnam. That is awful because having that dock is part of the strategy here, as we said. Yo's now getting Loom for SY. And he will go for water, I'm pretty sure, sending another villager out now, Zach, to probably build a second dock.
Yeah, of course he's going to send another, as that one there was on just 6 HP and won't benefit too greatly from Loom. Just wondering, though, Mystio hasn't taken his third boar. He's not scouted it. It's in front of his base, but his scout, obviously, spending all this time escorting villagers to the waterline has meant he's missed that boar until now. And at this point, well, is it even worth taking it? He's moved all his villagers out to wood. He's going to be starting that Grush strat as the team walls start to come up from the SY team. Already you can see them placing the foundations and building out that team wall nice and early. I think that's really important.
Yeah, team walls are huge in these games, as they oftentimes go late game. Zach, there's a Drush from Lix in the north. He's going towards ACCM. This is totally unexpected. Lix is the pocket position.
Yeah.
So he probably wants to boom behind this Drush, but I was not expecting him to do this.
Yeah.
And he might be able to sneak in.
Well, I think this comes down to that team wall again. You know, you see SY doing the team wall really early. If they can delay any team walling, if they can buy themselves more time to team wall, then that's good for them. And you're kidding me. ACCM might lose another villager up here as well.
Oh, my God.
I mean, he's going to lose that Vil. He's lost it.
That's 2 villagers down. It's not really ACCM's fault, in all honesty. Just look at the scouts. Earlier, Feng Jing was there, and he and the wolf finished off the first Vil. And Lix and Feng Jing were waiting there with their scouts. Again, ACCM desperately trying to get the water. So it will be completely different for Vietnam because they will not have any water control on SY's side.
ACCM's in a bit of trouble. He lost his scout as well behind Feng Jin's base. You see it just at the woodline north of the gold. So he's not having a good start here. But fortunately, he is walled. And, you know, even if you've had a bad start, if you're behind a wall, your opponent's invested into a Drush, it's not so bad. It's not game-ending, but it's certainly not a strong foot forward for ACCM here as he trails at the moment.
Yeah, now for Vietnam, they definitely are behind, at least with the aggression, so they need to hold where they can. And say my name, he has his defensive navy out. I think he can defend or at least trade comfortably versus Mr. Yo, so that's good for them. It's also good for them, Zach, that VNS Cool has a free fish boom and Bact has a free fish boom. That is, of course, if Say My Name can hold, so it's very important for them that he holds here.
Well, here's the thing, right? This is the key, I think. The ACCM has not been able to get a dock onto the side of SY.
Yeah.
So they're having to deal, the VNA team are having to deal with just one player from SY causing havoc on the water. They've got to invest into resources to deal with this. And meanwhile, they are free booming on the water on the north side without any contest. Now, maybe ACCM will go out there again, but you've also got the militia on the map, which could potentially just sort of station themselves out there and catch any Vils heading out that way. So you've got to think it's positive for SY at this stage.
Sorry, I'm laughing because I've been watching these militia, and this is the third wolf they'll encounter, and there's 2 more close to all of this. So
they can't catch a break.
Wolves, there's a woo right there.
Yeah.
One militia goes down and encounters another wolf, and if they run to the left, they'll encounter 2 more. This is hilarious. But I should point out that Cool for Vietnam is going scouts. However, Zach, the team wall is already up for SY. The scouts will not be able to get in.
Yeah, it's kind of strange, I think. I expected, if anything, the Indian player would do that scout rush. Now, obviously, Cool, he's got, 7 military right now. I think that's 6 scouts and a spear. I don't think he's made a boat on the water. And that means that he's invested quite heavily into these scouts. He's got to get the damage done. It's going to be really difficult, I think, to pull that off.
Yeah, he ran into the town center from Fengxing. He thought there was a gap. There was. He ran in, and it was the wrong type of gap. Archers for Fengxing on the flank for SY, which is a bit interesting. I thought that a Turk flank could be awkward for them. He could go crossbow into Cab Archer as the flank. That'd be strong with Turks. Keep an eye on that as the game progresses.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the interesting thing now is just to see how teams are going to be able to deal with the enemy's team walls, because as far as I can tell, both sides are closed with the exception of the gap, with the bad type of gap, as you say. And we'll see how that develops, because obviously scouts can pressure the wall, but it's fairly easy to keep them out. As you can see, Lix here will just wall up with stone behind this. As players now start transitioning up toward the castle age, this is where it's going to get interesting. Shuainu going up castle first, shortly followed by Backed. That's going to be the Malian player and the Mongol player first up to castle here.
On the water, Mr. Yo, he's done a great job picking off fishing ships. The KD might not look all that good, but every kill that Yo has had is an enemy fishing ship. He's killed 3 or 4 from VNS Cool, as well as all Say My Name's fish. So It's been a successful water strategy for Mr. Yo.
And also, I should point out as well, even if he's lost more than he's killed, what value do those fire galleys of Say My Name add to the game once he's killed Mr. Yo's ships? None.
Nothing.
They can't.
Nothing.
They can't be repurposed. They can't move to the other side of the map. They're trapped on the lake. He's invested the resources anyway. So even if Mr. Yo trades badly here, it is a good trade in my opinion.
Yep. Now, speaking of trades in the north, Fengxing has moved forward with his archers, and he takes a good engagement versus ACCM. At this rate, I have a feeling that ACCM is going to be in trouble, man.
Oh, yes.
He lost the villagers. He's lost some archers. He's under pressure. And who he needs in the game is Backed. And that is the king. That is the leader of Vietnam Legends. And he's Mongols. He's sending some support now. Actually, no, I lied. He's not sending any support. That would actually be the scouts from Cool. I guess Backed will full boom this, and it's up for the other Vietnam players to hold until he gets to the Imperial Age.
And I can't help but think that's a risky approach. I shouldn't laugh when ACCM is so down at the moment. You know, Backed did not build a barracks stable. He went for a market and blacksmith. He's adding his TCs now. And if ACCM does get doubled on the flank, if ACCM does lose ground there, well, I'm worried for VNA in that case. Say My Name probably a lot better off in the south. His villager count is very solid for his team. He's got the lead there, and he's got the stone wall, but ACCM is on the other end of the spectrum. His villager count very low, as we see a little fight in the north there. Cool losing his scouts to those archers as just before they become light cav, actually, which is pretty unfortunate.
You're right about it being a risk, Zach. You're right about Backed full booming being a risk. However, I think it's a risk that you need to take now because you don't have SY's water at all. You haven't killed any of their fishing ships. You need one thing to rely on, and I think that thing is going to be Elite Mangadai. One solid thing for Vietnam is that ACCM will reach the Castle Age before Lix. Or sorry, not Lix, Fengxing. There's so many names. So theoretically, if he gets his upgrades first, he could get some map control back on this side, and that'll be very important for him. Full booms, though, for Lix, in the Grey player playing as the Celts, and then Shai Nu has also been full booming as Malians, so kind of a similar strat, I guess, in terms of booming for SY.
Yeah, so this is the big difference, really. I mean, the fact that you've got that Mongol player on the pocket, they can do the free boom. And meanwhile, Mr. Yo has invested quite a lot of resources into fighting for the water. Yeah. And so for SY, you're going to have the big boom on the Celt player. And then for VNA, you're going to have the big boom on the Mongol player. And I don't know what you would prefer, but I would actually quite like the Mongol player to be fully boomed a little bit more than the Celt player, because the Mongol player is already going in after receiving some sling from Say My Name on the south flank.
Yeah, that's a very smart decision. Sling backed up. You don't have to full sling him, but give him something to get him to Imperial Age faster. He's building his second castle now, and I agree with you, Zach. I would definitely prefer my Mongol player to hit Imperial Age first with a stronger boom. It's not like Lix would have any other option here, of course. He pretty much has to go for that boom, but Elite Mangadai will be on the way for Backed. This could be good for Vietnam. this could be very good for Vietnam.
Yeah, and I'm questioning as well, once they've got backed into Imp, how do they follow through with that? You've got your you've got your Turk player in the pocket, and then you've got your Malian player on the flank. What do you see the Turks bringing to this game? I mean, both teams have gone for the Turks here, but what is their role in this game? It's obviously going to be a lot later on in the game where they start to have an impact. Maybe it's, for the map control and the bombard tower spam a little later on.
Well, it's slinging currently. Another batch of resources was just sent to Backed from VNA School. That was honestly my first thought. When I saw Turks was picked, I thought they would sling. That was not the choice for Feng Xing on the flank for SY, though. He's just been going crossbows and booming, which is maybe something they'll regret.
Ooh, and speaking
nice
of
little
crossbows,
fight here.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. We've got ACCM on the hill, but he's massively outnumbered. And we got a little bit of nice micro from Feng Jin as well, just moving those stray crossbow across the front to distract those crossbow from ACCM. And, ACCM going to do minimal damage there, I think, but it's nice to see that he's pushed out. When you are outnumbered, when you are a little bit outplayed in the early game, it's very easy to get caught up in the mentality of, okay, I've just got to hold behind my walls and get a good fight, then I can move. He took the initiative. He's making a play now, and he'll find a couple of villagers, but I think it's going to cost him his whole army as he's gone in very deep here.
Yeah, I quite like that from him because all of his opponent's military is in his base defensively, so that's not bad. It's really not a bad play, and here comes Backed. And Backed will have to work on the upgrades. It's kind of tough when you go up this early, but he's going for Trebs first, I guess, with a few non-elite Mangadai. And Lix is on the way up for SY now. This is getting interesting, Zach.
Yeah, but you're going to have the faster Mongol player to the Imperial Age first. Then you're going to get the Imperial Age Celt. And this is just going to turn into a bit more of a defensive style from SY. Look at that forward castle from Backed. They know it. They know that this is going to be a defensive style because the Celt player can't push into the Mongol player. It has to be the Mongol player pushing into the Celts because the Celts just can't... What can they do against the mass Mangadai, right? It's going to take longer to get the upgrades on the siege, and that siege is best played defensively for the time being until some support units can come in. Now, just real quick, I want to point out, you see the walls at the north from Feng Jin?
Yep.
Right now, SY have 3 corners of the map, and that could be interesting at 27 minutes of game time as teams start to think about trading in the next few minutes.
Yeah, trade is always important in team games. It's a lot more awkward on this map. You rarely see teams going for trade cogs. It's just not as efficient. So as you said, Zach, the corners will be important. So for SY, there's 2 players who will be fully boomed in the Imperial Age. For Vietnam, there's going to be only 1 player as the other pocket is slinging Backed. It is up to SY to hold here and not take losses, and it is up to Backed alone to push. And Lix sees this coming, man. He sees the castle's up. He's building his own castle. He doesn't have anything right now that can push this back.
No, and interestingly as well, he's actually gone to the north. He started making pikes, which is very typical for the Celts. He started making some mangonels, but it's all in the north, and I wonder if they're going to be able to push out there, or if Backed is going to be able to basically drag them back home, kicking and screaming, and say, right, you've got to deal with this, because if you don't, we're going to absolutely clean your base.
It's on Shai Nu now. Shai Nu is in the Imperial Age. He's researching Heavy Camel. He is Malian, so he could get the +7 on his Heavy Camels with the unique upgrade. Something he should be able to afford. But Lix cannot defend here right now. He needs to repair his castles, buy his ally a little bit of time. And this is also giving time to Back to get his upgrades. He has lots of trebs, 5 trebs forward. A second castle now. This is looking good for Vietnam in the middle.
Yeah, he's got the help of Cool here with a few camels as well, and obviously Turks have very good camels, not quite as good as the Malians, however, but this is commanding the attention of SY. Now, you see Farimba coming in for Shrinu. He's not ready to fight yet. He does still need Heavy Camel. He does still need Farimba. We've got Halberdier coming down for Lix as well, and Onager is already done, but these guys have killed the castle. They're already pushing in. Big, nice shot from Lix there. Still no Elite Mangadai from Backed, though. A little bit too expensive, I think, at the moment. He should be clicking it. Yeah, he's actually just clicked it right now. Just checked his res, and I was like, he's about to click it.
Yeah, he just clicked Elite Mangadai. He's lacking Thumb Ring, he's lacking Parthian Tactics, so those are 2 important upgrades he will need. He doesn't even have that archery range yet. But the damage is being done here, and there's a lot of gold for Lix that he'll no longer be able to take if he loses his ground. Shy Nu, he's got to arrive soon, man.
Yeah, no, I'm wondering, what next for VNA? How do they follow this up? You've got Say My Name coming in next with the Imperial Camel. I said about the Turks having good camels. Well, the Malians beat that, but what beats the Malians? Well, it's obviously the Indians, and the Indians are going to be entering the fight fairly soon, as Heavy Camel comes in now for the yellow player, and it is defensive for SY. They've got Farimba on the Heavy Camels, they've got Onager, but they're losing so much. Look at that, another TC going down there, as the Trebs from 8 Euro backed do so much damage from range.
It's important right now. You might not win the game with this push, but at least take some advantages back if you're Vietnam. And start getting the trade going earlier or something, right? Because it is looking tough now. Siege Onager is on the way for licks. The camels are fully upgraded for Shy Nu, so I really don't know if Bacht can push this at the moment, but it is important for Vietnam to get some other advantages because the flanks are behind, and for that reason I think it's important that ACCM takes control of the northern corner, and maybe the southern corner they take from Mr. Yo if possible. That way they can get the trade.
Well, on this map, you absolutely want to trade from south to east and west to north, right? That's the longest side. That's going to give you the best return on the trade. But Shiny is pushing out now. It's a decent push, to be honest. Elite Mangudai is now there, though, but it looks like he'll get all of those Trebs. Those camels doing a lot of damage with 14 attack, and that's a really good engagement. He takes the Treb in the south as well, T90. And,
that's so big. That's so big. It's not about winning this engagement if you're Shy Nu and Licks. It's just about holding because your team is ahead in economy. So that puts a huge dent in the push from Bacht. Bacht is still catching up on those upgrades, Zach. As I said, he didn't have Thumb Ring there, and I think that made a big difference. But Shy Nu, he does need to be careful. He's fighting underneath castles. I don't think he should lose too many of these camels.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, he is basically the backbone for SY right now, as Fengjin hasn't really started entering the fight just yet. He's only just hit him. He is currently working on bombard cannons, hand cannons, and that'll take him a little while to get going. But Shrinu did throw away a lot of camels there under those castles. But I think, more importantly, he did kill the Trebs, he did stop the push and buy his team some time. And in fact, they will push this back with their own Trebs now, and actually take down the first castle from back there on the west side.
Yeah, Licks finally has a composition that could beat Mongols. I mean, he can't catch up to Mongol speed, of course, but with Halberdier Siege Onager, it's just a risk for Bacht to ever engage this. And he loses a castle, he could lose another one, and that forward push is slowly unraveling for him now. It's also worth pointing out that for SY, Mr. Yo is in the Imperial Age making his own Mangudai. So it's now on Say My Name to find an answer here. The Imperial Camels are engaging right next to the Heavy Camels from Shy Nu. And Shy Nu is winning this engagement.
They're getting chewed up.
He just has more numbers, man.
And more upgrades. He's got 14 attack damage right now, and the Imperial Camel only has 10 because it's missing the upgrades from the blacksmith. So they're actually going to be able to basically shut Say My Name down before he even gets going here. He was starting to build up a decent number of Imperial Camels, and now he has none left. And by none, I mean like 13, which is not a good number. May as well be none when your opponent is rocking 53 military from Shrinu right now.
Yeah, there's very few good things to say about Vietnam's situation, man. In the south, they're struggling. In the center, they're getting pushed back. In the north, there's a small push from Bacht and from ACCM. That's good, but SY looking pretty solid.
That's good, but relatively speaking, it's not enough, is it? The problem here for Bacht is he built 3 forward castles. If you are the Mongols and you're making Mangudai, you need castles. And if he loses another castle now, he'll be down on 2. And meanwhile, Mr. Yo's up on 4. So Mr. Yo's going to have double the Mangudai production of Bacht. And Bacht will lose ground, but also lose military production, further snowballing things in SY's favor.
Yeah, and I think a lot of viewers have probably never heard of Shy Nu until this tournament, and he's playing amazing, man. He has 13 trade carts, 60 military, 190 pop. He's fighting in the north to help out Feng Xing there, and he's fighting in the south. He has been everywhere after he hit the Imperial Age.
Yeah, absolutely critical player for SY. He's got huge military, 65 right now, split 50-50, like you say, north and south, and he's absolutely crucial to the success of SY, because we spoke about the Celts. They've got great firepower, but they struggle to push into the Mongol player, bringing the beefier heavy camels into the picture. He's able to push everywhere, and in the north you've got ACCM doing Cavalier as well. I can't help but feel that was not a wise decision from ACCM, given the way this game is shaping up and what unit composition SY are running.
Yeah, it's tough. As we've said, it is tough. He started with Cavalier. He'll go into heavy camo now. Wow, this engagement is so good for SY yet again. You're almost forced to pick off the siege onagers for your team if you're ACCM. And as he tries that, he gets chewed up by the halberdiers. Everywhere you look, this Vietnam team is getting pushed back in the south and the north, and they need a good engagement soon, or the game will be over.
Yeah, in the south especially as well, they are struggling there. Mr. Yo, a little bit behind on upgrades on the Mangadai. He only just finished Bloodlines. Compare that to Bact, who finished it a long time ago. So very different strategies from these two players. Mr. Yo, with quite an aggressive castle there, will actually fail that as the camels kill the last villager, I assume. And Say My Name putting up a last stand here with his Imperial camels, finally with full upgrades. But yeah, they're still out-damaged by the heavy camels of Shuainu. They just have a little bit more health and more armor, of course, which should give them the edge. But it's 2v1 right now. Where is Cool? I'm wondering where Cool is at the moment. He was slinging, but now he needs to be in the game.
There's this big question mark over Turks. What do you do here? If you go for gunpowder, that still dies.
Cav Archer, I think.
Yeah, Cav Archer might be the play. Is it too late, though? Say My Name is losing castles. He's losing, more importantly, stables that he's trying to produce camels out of. He has the resources to make these camels, but this will be the 4th stable he's lost here. In the north, Lick's still with a commanding position with his halbs and his siege onagers, though he's destroying his own halberdiers, but we won't point that out. And Fengxing, he is pushing with his own cav archers, by the way, versus ACCM. So ACCM will be under more pressure soon.
Yeah, no, he's missing, I think he's missing something here. Yeah, he's missing heavy cav archer. But it's too late. Doesn't matter for VNA. Whatever they do now, the game is done, as they call GG. It's worth noting both teams actually ended up trading from the, or on the less ideal sides.
Yeah. They didn't get as much gold per trip, but at least in the current situation, it was safer. You know, I think you almost have to trade like this on 4v4 Scandy, because if you have one whole shoreline secured in the Imperial Age, it's probably game over anyhow, right?
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, that was really interesting how that game played out. Essentially, Vietnam knew they were behind, and so they had their Turk player, who couldn't contribute much anyway, sling backed, and once he lost that forward position, it was always going to be tough for them, and they just didn't have enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the risk you take, isn't it, right? You go forward like that, and if it works, it's great. You do a lot of damage. You punch a hole straight through the middle of your opponent's side. But if you start getting pushed back, if you lose it, you lose a lot. You lose everything that you invested into that forward. And the momentum goes with it as well. And that's, I think, exactly what happened. I would have liked to see Say My Name in this game being a little bit more instrumental. I think had he been able to get Imp a little earlier, had he been able to transition a little better into Imperial Camel, I think it would have gone a very different way, because I think the camels this game were clearly, from Shuainu's perspective, very pivotal. But I think Say My Name could have done more with his camels in this game had he got there sooner.
I agree with you. I do think it was tough on him because he lost his fish, whereas Shuainu, in comparison, he had a free fish boom on multiple docks, I believe. There's a lot of things that are coming to mind now, and we'll have to move into the next game soon. But the other thing that comes to mind is, why did Cool go scouts? That delayed his castle time, and then he ended up slinging because he thought, oh, what else can I do, right? If he would have just walled up and gone fast castle age like the other pockets on the other team, this could have played out differently.
Yeah, you know, actually, something I'd like to point out as well. Look at the water. VNA, a lot of fish traps. And
I like
SY deleted all their fish, and instead they made farms.
Interesting. I mean,
That's very interesting.
It's one of many things we could probably talk about for the next hour about this game, but it could have been more pop space efficient. I don't know.
Or did they delete them? Or did they lose them? Because actually, I do see some fires on the water from ACCM.
Yeah, ACCM did redock. I don't know.
Maybe they did lose them. I don't know. It's hard to say, right? Because I think, like, farms, I'm not sure, but, like, fully upgraded farms should be faster than fish traps. But you do get less return on your investment.
Yeah, I think that's, again, one of many small things that might have played into the victory for SY. But the big deal was the initial water loss in the north for ACCM and the Ville loss, and then the boom from the pockets. Whereas for Bacht, he was the only one in the Imperial Age fighting for a while there.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a quick look at the stats then before we go into Game 3. Worth pointing out, of course, this is now 2-0 for SY, which means it is match point in this best of 5. I'd like to see VNA come back, but at the moment they do seem to be a little outclassed by the Chinese team.
Yep. So next map is Forest Nothing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, can't wait for this. I've been waiting. Yeah, I've been waiting for a long time. Let's go. Next game.
It's actually going to be Europe West. We're going to add Forest Nothing because the Black Forest is in Germany.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Zach, if I could just have 2 minutes before we get into the next game.
No problem.
All right.
All right, just quickly whizzing through the stats here then. You see Bacht did have the most kills. He did receive the sling as well. He didn't actually receive that much sling. A lot of sling actually went to Say My Name as well. But Bacht was actually able to do a lot more with his sling. And Bacht did have more villagers than Say My Name also, which is interesting. SY, on the other hand, a little bit of sling, interestingly, from Shuai Yu. And I think that went over to, well, it actually looks like it was quite evenly distributed. That sling must have come later in the game. But interestingly, Lix, the Celt player, didn't receive much sling at all, and they were able to hold off Bacht, not without losing quite a lot of their base in the process, but hold off they did, and push back they did, and push to a win in the end. So Cross will actually be coming up next, SY versus VNA Game 3. We're going to back out of this game. And we'll be back in, I think, just a minute here. Stick with us here. We're going to put a quick 1-minute timer up as T99 take a very short break and get ready for Game 3. So stay tuned. Game 3 on the way in just a minute's time.
All right, I'm back.
Okay, I will be back in just a sec. I will be back in just a sec. So thank you everyone for the bits and subs and stuff today. We'll be shouting you out at the end of the series. We don't want to delay too long between games here, so we're going to be getting Cross underway in just a second. Thoughts on this map T90? It's quite similar to Scandinavia in the sense that you have both land and water, but it does also play out quite differently as well as the game develops. And
I'm sorry, I was talking, but I was muted.
There we go.
Trust me, I had some very good points. Okay.
I believe you. I believe you. Sure.
Yeah, the map is similar in a sense that there's water control. It'd be easier just to discuss all the points once we get into the match, I think, because it's so utterly complicated. But yeah, I can't wait, man. It's been a pleasure to cast with you so far. I told Zach prior to the cast that it'll take us a couple games to warm up, and I think we're getting there. Our synergy is building.
It is building like you would build your empire. It's getting stronger and stronger, and soon we will reach the Imperial Age and we'll be unstoppable.
Yeah, we're about to research treadmill crane, so you guys better watch out.
Exactly. And I'm getting ballistics right now as well, so higher accuracy on moving targets, which is what we have right here. VNA versus SY Game 3. And it is match point already after quite a dominant show from SY. I have to say, Game 1, really strong. Game 2, just as strong. And now Game 3, VNA have to pull a victory here if they want to stay in and don't want to get knocked out of the Europe East 4v4. Joining me once again, T90, great to have you, man. And maybe this time you could introduce the first team.
Yeah, I'll start with SY. On the right-hand side, we have Mr. Shainu, who has been pivotal for SY today. Both in the Baltic game, he was pocket, and the Scandinavia game, he was amazing. He is playing as the Huns. And we have Mr. Yo as pocket for them. In the teal, he's playing as the Persians. The other pocket is Joffrey, who's coming in for the first time today. He's playing as the Mayans. And in the gray, the other flank is Lix, who is playing as the Slavs.
Yeah, so Joffrey coming in, we'll see if he actually weakens the SY team or makes them stronger. We'll have to keep an eye on that. That could be quite an important change for them. On the other side, on the left flank in the red, it's Cool playing as the Slavs. Pocket, you've got Backed in the orange, playing as the Mayans. Second pocket, say my name, in the yellow as the Malay. And the right flank is ACCM, playing in the purple as the Magyars. Teams are split north and south. If you drew a line from left to right, you've got SY to the south, VNA to the north, and I've got to say, I do like these starting positions from a spectator standpoint. I'd hate to play it because you've got one safe pond in the back for both teams, and then the two ponds on the left and right will be contested.
Already the laming begins. I just caught this myself, Zach. You'll see a board between ACCM and Shainu running back. ACCM has a weak scout, but he's keeping it alive for now. Luckily for Shainu, he will get his board back. That massive hill in front of his base could be awkward for him. We don't have time to really focus on everything, like with the maps in a team game, but that's going to be a tough map. A couple things I want to address, because I've seen quite a few cross 4v4s now. Sometimes you'll see teams send 2 people to the flank pond and pressure that. And then sometimes you'll see teams have 2 or even 3 in that safe pond in the south or the north. And I've more often than not seen that the team that goes more aggressive on the flank ponds ends up winning. We could talk again for hours about why that might be, but just something to keep in mind when we see the docks.
Okay, and that makes it interesting because say my name, playing as the Malay here, will be in the pocket. Yeah. And I think if you are VNA right now, you'd probably have want to have your Malay player on the flank so that they could contest the water, and that would end up being the Malay versus Shainu, who's the Huns on the right side, giving the Malay the edge there, I feel. It would be close, but I think the Malay would have the edge. On the left side, it's actually going to be VNS Cool playing as the Slavs versus Lix playing as the Slavs on the water, so it's a mirror there. While on the right, it's actually going to be Shainu the Huns versus ACCM, who hasn't gone out to build the dock yet. So VNA might be forfeiting this lake on the right side.
Yeah. So the pocket players, for those watching at home, the pocket players did dock the safe pond. Mm-hmm. I guess we won't see a difference in the dock locations with the exception of ACCM, who, again, has been put under pressure here, man. He tried to lame and failed. He's on the flank again. It hasn't been the best series for ACCM. He's certainly a quality player,
and
he's been the one weak link.
Sorry to interrupt you there. He's not seen his second bore either. He's pushing in the deer right now, and it's just out of his sight. So he should see it when he goes back to push some more deer. If he goes back to push more deer, he's going to go back. He has to go back.
Yeah, it's just one of those days for him, isn't it? I mean, that's a tile right there.
I know, right?
That changes everything. Now he sees it. Bummer for him, and it's also open on the front. So luckily he had the deer there, Zach. We'll see now as players will soon click up to the feudal age. Will the strategy be feudal age aggression, or will it be a faster castle time? I feel like a faster castle time tends to play out better in team games because the higher eco approaches are safer. Last time around, we saw Cool go for scouts on Scandi, and that did not work out. So
yeah, didn't pay off.
We shall see. Yeah.
So interesting. You're gonna have then Malay and Mayans in the pocket versus Persians and Mayans in the pocket. The Malay in the pocket. They really. What are they gonna do here? You could consider going crossbow, but it's a lot slower. You really want to be going for knights or camels if you can in this meta game. And the Malay they can do knights, but they don't want to. Certainly wouldn't recommend it.
I honestly feel like there will be a lot of pressure on Bact yet again here. He's Mayans, and I think he might just go for a castle and plumes and go heavy on the aggression while his ally Say My Name booms. Because otherwise, if he tries to go knights, Say My Name will be outgunned by Mr. Yo, who's Persians, right? So
yeah,
I think the play is just go plumes for Bact and have Say My Name boom. Flanks, I'm not so sure yet, but that's probably my guess.
Yeah, Mr. Yo's got a very late ball coming in right now. Interesting little nugget of information there. But I think the VNA walling up quite heavily here. I think they recognize this. It needs to be a bit more of a boom style. And I think you recognize that as well. So that team wall coming in quite early. My concern for VNA is going to be ACCM again. He's way open on this right side. It's a hard wall. It's a hard not life for ACCM. And he's going to be forced into some feudal aggression, I think, whether he likes it or not. Meanwhile, on the water, though, he did dock, and he's making a fire galley there. So he should be able to at least take the fish from Shuainu.
That's big. Yeah, that's big. And Shuainu has his scout on patrol. He just ran past the dock, so he's a bit too late there. I honestly feel like the right flank will be a weak point for both teams because Shuainu's map is so exposed, and Say My Name, his is as well.
Yeah, and something I just realized as well, even though he saw the dock of ACCM, Shuainu couldn't afford to queue a galley because he's actually been investing his gold into archers, and he didn't have the gold for a fire galley, so he's just going to have to lose the fish. And if ACCM can add some fish behind this and keep them safe, then he could at least salvage something on this side. He's going to lose a villager out on the right, though. Unfortunate for him, but, walling far from home, it does happen.
It's actually a huge deal because ACCM did not dock and have any fish of his own. So killing the fish just puts them on even terms here economically. Here come the archers from Shuainu. Yeah, for now. Because Shuainu is about to run through that gap in the wall. And there's really nothing from ACCM that he can't do anything about this except tower. And he can only afford one tower, Zach. So I don't even know if that tower is ideal for him. What does that tower save?
Oh, Mr. Yo's bringing his scout over as well. The villager will go down again. ACCM does have the scout of Say My Name to help him. You're right, that tower, it's still open at the gold. It's still open at the wood at the back. He's going to try and wall that off. But those archers are coming around, and I'm worried ACCM might lose a bit too much here, especially if those archers go all the way around the top. They can still hit that wood line safely without the tower being there. So we'll see what he can do. Obviously not a great start again from ACCM. He does have more kills than deaths, but his economy is trailing with just 27 villagers right now.
Yeah, well, these two villagers who are trying to complete the wall could be picked off by the archers. He'll lose one. The other one will run into a wolf, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
As if his day couldn't get any worse.
Not even survive.
Ouch.
Back to what we were talking about earlier, Zach. Say My Name will go for knights or elephants.
Yes.
I did not expect this. This might be a reactive play because his flank is dying and he knows he needs to help.
Well, you know what's interesting, though? He has a free fish boom at the back. He could go straight into elephants. It's expensive, but it's possible on this map. This map does make it possible. Oh, no. ACCM. He is Titanicking hard right now as he's losing more villagers on the right side to Shuainu, and it's just not happening for him. He doesn't have fletching either here, but he does have a few skirms in the mix, so he might get an okay trade. He might hold on for now, but jeez, has that been bad. You've got Mr. Yo coming through with some scouts as well, Tristan, and this is just getting dicey now as the hole cannot be plugged.
Well, luckily the knights are on the way.
That's really
knights
nice.
will help out here, but yeah, you're right. It just hasn't been a good start, man. It hasn't been a good start, and yet again, it is on the pockets to really push here. Bact will build a castle soon, or Bact will soon build a castle, and he'll go plumes. And so a more aggressive start in Castle Age for Vietnam in general, because they have the fast castle to knights with Say My Name, and it will be the plumes for Bact. However, Joffrey's also going for plumes for SY, and he's gone forward with his castle. Zach, I did not expect this. It's kind of a risky place to build a castle, but I guess they know they know the enemy team has not gone for military yet on that side, so he'll get that up. Interesting.
Is Cool slinging? I think is he going to sling this? He's doing a blacksmith now in a market. If you stick a blacksmith, I don't expect the sling. He's actually won the water quite nicely on this left side, by the way. So VNA do have one thing going for them, and that is good water control right now. And as we saw in the 1v1s, water control can win games, does win games. So that's pretty good. My concern is this right side. If you look at what we're seeing here from VNA, you're seeing Malay Knights versus Persian Knights and Camels, and Archers versus Archers. And obviously, ACCM is behind Schweinu.
Again, not meaning to interrupt you here, but I need to point it out. You mentioned the sling potential. Cool is not slinging, but Lix is. Lix is full slinging, or at least sent a large deal of resources to Joffrey, and that's why Joffrey's on the way to Imp. For those that don't know what sling means, sling is when you send resources to an ally. So that's why Joffrey can advance to the Imperial Age at this rate, and that's why Joffrey will honestly soon have trebuchets, I imagine. That castle placement, that's perfect if he wants to treb down Bact's castle.
Yeah, he doesn't know where Bact's castle is, but I think he's about to run into it, so he should find out. There you go.
Yeah.
And it is great. That castle, it's right on the hill. The treb, I don't know if he can get an angle on that castle that's on the hill, maybe on this right side. He's going to be out of range of the castle as well. But this is going to catch Bact out. Interestingly, though, Bact, he's actually dropping down barracks behind this. He's on the way up to Imp as well.
Yeah,
and
he's being slung now.
Cool did send the tribute, but he also went to the Castle Age, which is interesting, right?
Well, so we have a difference in styles, at least with the sling. Elix stayed in feudal and is sending resources, whereas Cool went to castle.
Right
is
side.
Cool adding TCs?
I just want to say,
God.
right side, we're going to see some action here. We've got elephants in the back. We've got knights and archers on the front. These are going to be archers for a while from both the flank players. Neither of them are close to the Castle Age yet. Schweinu is halfway there, and ACCM is still living on a prayer at the moment. But basically, Say My Name has got to do the damage here and got to defend his flank because he loses both of the ranges, and the siege, the monks, they're all ready to push in. I don't think VNA are going to hold this right side.
It's going to be tough, and it's not as though they can receive support from Bact because Bact is still preoccupied with Joffrey, who's building another castle.
Absolutely.
But here come the conversions. One monk gets focused down. That was good, but there will be 2 elephant conversions here at this rate.
1 and 2. He gets 2.
Second one.
That's good.
And now the monks pull back. They'll heal up the units. And this is before Schweinu upgrades the crossbow and mixes in the Hun Cav archers. And Yo is building more stables on the front. ACCM yet again, he's in trouble, and I don't see what that watchtower will do for him.
Yeah, VNA are in trouble. VNA are in big
reaction.
trouble. Yeah, basically.
That's the best reaction. Just the big sigh.
What's he gonna do, man? No, it's tough. It's all on the back of Say My Name here to basically hold it, do the damage. ACCM is dead man walking right now, but fortunately we got some help, we got some support. Bact is sending some eagles over as well. The forward stables are there, so they're doing what they can to give VNA a big government bailout right now. And he needs it. But on the left side, you can see the reaction. This Cool is like, all right, I'm walling the hell up because I cannot afford to lose my ground here. And in the middle, Joffrey is killing the castle of Bact. Bact going to have to switch away from plumes and hard into eagles this game.
Yeah, and Joffrey now knows that eagles is on the way. That was probably a surprise because he saw the castle and he saw plumes. So he needs to react to this probably by going for elite plumed archer. A third castle on the way up for Joffrey now on the front. So he has not been a weak link for SY. If he masses enough plumes, he can kill eagles. But the eagles move in for Bact on the right-hand side. He needs to go for the monks.
Oh, pathing though. Pathing. Struggling to get to the monks. And I think he might kill them all. Yeah. But he did lose a couple of eagles there. But this is a great time now for Say My Name to push. I know that the Malay don't have great upgrades, but at least get the +1 defense. It's going to really buff your elephant archers against these crossbows, but it's enough for now. It is enough for now. Now, if you're ACM, what do? You sling, right?
I think you have to. You have to. He's going to Castle Age now. I don't see what that really does for his team. I just send those resources to somebody, you know?
Yeah.
Because when you reach Castle Age, you'll still have nothing.
Yep.
He's at 35 population, but he has not gone for that decision. Whether I disagree or not, that does not matter. And Bakht is building more barracks in the back of his base. He's housed badly at the moment. He's being pressured by Joffrey, who is getting elite plume. And the elite plumed archers are going to snowball here. 3 castles on the front. This is trouble.
Yeah, but what's also trouble is Say My Name, killing all those crossbows, putting up an admirable defense on the right side, forcing a quick wall off from the SY team, and basically stabilizing out here on the right, giving ACCM a little bit of breathing room. But I disagree with this castle from him. I think, if anything, Cool is in the Castle Age. Make Cool start to contribute to the military, get ACCM into the sling position, because when he hits castle, what does he do anyway?
Yeah. Damn, dude. El Dorado on the way for Bakht.
Hello. All right.
I think they could delay this. I think with the Eagles, assuming he has the resources, he could pick off the Trebs at the very least from Joffrey.
Yeah.
And El Dorado makes the Mayan Eagles the strongest Eagles in the game. 100 HP on these Eagles now.
You know, this
Elite plumes are strong, but Eagles, they could be better.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have El Dorado than the +4 attack from Garland was in this situation, right? Against Plumes. But, like, this is a similar situation to last game with the roles reversed. Last game, Bakht was in Jeffrey's position with the forward castles, right?
Yep.
He was doing the damage. But if Bakht can do what happened last game and hold and then counter push, take down the Trebs and then take down the castles as well, it does put VNA into a good position. And meanwhile, the right side stabilized, the left side, the damage, it's... Well, I don't know what's happening there, actually.
It's wild, yeah.
Stuff's going on, but nothing has really died. Just lots of walls and weird things. We'll ignore that for now. But it's basically now here, in the middle of the map. What can Bakht do? Can he do the damage with these Eagles?
Honestly, if he just holds, it can still be decent for them. Because Say My Name is going to hit the Imperial Age just now. And if he can afford to get Elite Battle Elephant, it'll be tough for Yo. But, man, those plumed archers with full upgrades now, cleaning up the Eagles from Bakht. Yep. Bakht has lost his Trebuchet as well. He built a castle just so he could research El Dorado and send out Trebs. And Joffrey has held the hill, which he prioritized very early on with that first castle.
Now, fortunately for Bakht, he has got quite a lot of space to fall back into. His economy isn't that far forward. So, although Jeffrey does kill this, he's got a long way to travel before he really gets to the meat and potatoes of Bakht's base.
Say My Name's on the way, Zach. Say My Name will help Bakht with his elephants.
Nice. And this could be really good. You know, you've got a little bit more tankiness there, but still, man, it's tough, right? It is tough. If you think about it here, these plumed archers, they're doing 3 damage per shot to the Eagles. They need to hit 34 times to one-shot an Eagle. You'd think with the numbers, he could actually overwhelm this, but he's struggling to get the numbers together.
Joffrey, he has to be careful not to get trapped here. Bakht almost trapped him in there. You don't want to go too far forward if you're Joffrey. He's also going to be surprised by the Elite Battle Elephants, which are now arriving to Say My Name.
Oh, he's out of position, Tristan. He's surrounded actually out here. You don't really want your plumes in that position when you get surrounded. And in come the battle elephants for the back line. Meanwhile, Mr. Yo's coming in with some cavalier now. Paladin's on the way for him. Perhaps he would have preferred to go for heavy camels in this situation straight away. But yeah, these battle elephants, they're not the strongest, but they are the cheapest. And they are now able to push this back. And that is huge for VNA.
They're basically the cost of knights. That's the crazy thing. Basically the cost of knights. So sure, they might not have all the defense upgrades, but they're still elite battle elephants with 300 HP, and that puts a stop to Joffrey for now. We're getting to the point where we'll see Shainu in on the right-hand side. He's Hun, so we'll probably go for Cav Archers. And Yo is soon at full strength with Paladin. So for SY, at least they'll have more players involved. ACCM is still way behind for his team.
Okay, now this is where it gets interesting as well, right? You have Lix, he's been full sling all game, he's just going up to castle now, and the player who received the sling just got pushed back. He's got a lot of plumes, he's still got potential to do damage, but he hasn't, like, won the game. So now it's going to drop off a little bit, I think, as the sling starts to stop while that feudal player goes up to castle.
You see Joffrey's plumes? Oh
Not
my
like
God.
this. Holy
They were
crap.
doing the tango with those Eagles. They need to run away.
Well, I mean, this is the
Goodness.
thing. He had them backed into a corner. He could have just held his ground, but now he's out in the open. It opens up the possibility for the battle elephants to come in, and now he's had to run back.
He's been a little bit too aggressive at times. He's doing a good job at sitting in the choke points because the melee units can't completely surround him. So still his KD is positive. He has 4 castles spamming plumed archers on the front, and he's two-shotting these elephants. So say my name. I hope he has a lot of resources, man. It's not going to be easy when he loses the elephants this fast, despite how cheap they are.
Yeah, and it's not going to be good either when the fish run out in the back, because they will eventually run out. And although the melee do get infinite fish traps, look at that, infinity and beyond right there on the fish traps. But yeah, it's still going to be a slower source of food income. Say my name though, the ram rush coming in. Look at that. There are a lot of cap rams coming out. He's going to make the play. But there's also paladins here on the hill, and he might be able to push this back with the help of the paladins from Yo.
Yeah, Yo. So important, man. So important that he's here. That's a huge investment into Rams. Most of the Rams will be killed off. Bax needs to push this back with Say My Name now, because on the other side, ACCM's about to die. He's about to be 2v1'd. And SY, I think they've held this. They have 4 castles. The Rams have been focused down. The plumed archers are in a nice little choke point here. And they also have a small hill advantage. So I think this will be enough. ACCM, he's repairing his TC, man. He's in trouble. He is in big trouble.
Yeah, well, this is the problem, isn't it, right? You've got ACCM now trying to boom. He's not made a single military unit since the feudal age. And now, you know, they've had to deal with this aggression in the middle, but ACCM has been left alone, and, well, he's in trouble, basically. I think he should have slung. He's going imp right now, but I don't think he'll hold on long enough to even get to imp at this rate, as the Hun player starts coming straight through. And what can ACCM do to hold on to this? He has nothing to defend. 2 military is not going to cut it for the purple player.
Last I checked, Joffrey had 90 kills and 70 deaths. He now has 170 kills and 86 deaths.
Damn.
That fight was huge. And Cool kind of gets into the game here with a few trebs, and the treb just gets picked off by Joffrey, as does the Mangonel. And there's the GG, because ACCM is going to die on the other side. Vietnam tried. They had moments where they could have brought the game back, but just like in game 1 and 2, SY, they were equal to it and stronger as a team, and that's the end of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. There you have it. GG's called, and VNA will lose game 3, giving SY a 3-0 sweep over the Vietnamese team. Really strong performance today from SY. I think they went into every game with a solid strat, and they executed it really well as well. Now, this game, I think the big difference here is as the game progresses onward, not only do you have Jeffrey in a great position, and although he's unable to close the game out on his own, he's being backed up by paladins, and you've got the melee player then making the elephants. And elephants, although they are cheaper, although they are stronger than the paladins, it's a little bit harder to transition into them. And I think the biggest thing here was ACCM, right? I think the biggest thing was ACCM, bad start, bad castle age, and then I think a bad decision to get ACCM to go up to imp.
Yeah, ACCM, they fell pretty far behind as a team in feudal age, right? And that's the same with the Scandinavia game. The Scandinavia game was not good from him either. He didn't participate all that much. I kind of feel bad for the guy, right? 2 games in a row where he's been under pressure. Certainly in the Scandi game, it wasn't really his fault. He ran into freaking wolves.
Oh, yeah. That was
he ran into wolves. And, of course, credit SY for being there with their scouts at that time as well. But just the early game stuff does seem stronger from SY. Yet again, we saw scouts picking off the wall villagers from ACCM. Vietnam wasn't doing that to SY, or at least SY were able to avoid it somehow. And because ACM had fallen so far behind, he could never get into the game, and it was a 4v3.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, obviously, you do have Lick slinging in this situation, but the sling was more than enough, I think, for Jeffrey to get a solid position here and essentially push back to back. And plumed archers are better than eagles when they are massed. I mean, it's as simple as that.
The castle positions were clutch as well. If he built that first castle back at home, then all of his castles would have been spread out, and he wouldn't have had the choke in between the castles on the hill to sit with that final fight. There is a small silver lining. I'm sad to see Vietnam going out. There's a small silver lining. Chat will no longer be saying our names when we say my name. So that's the one good thing.
One last time, say my name.
Say my name.
All right. Well, I'm sure we'll be getting more of that as the tournament goes on. Jeffrey there in the end, 177 kills, 87 deaths. A great game for him. Conversely, back to the same civilization, but completely switched around. 82 kills, 138 deaths. Quick look at the eco. Shows the Elix Sling of 5k resources to Jeffrey, and backed receiving 5k 6 resources from Cool. And then that's really it. We won't spend too long on the timeline there, but let's go to the